everyone, welcome back to a brand new review on Faintly Familiar. I am Sarah Sigmund.
And I am Jacob Sigmund.
And today we're reviewing the movie Psycho. Well, today we have the classic Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. It's arguably one of the most iconic movies that he ever made. And it's essentially about this woman who works, I'm not sure where she works. She works for some kind of investment
They don't really
place.
say.
They don't really say. But she essentially steals $40,000 from her boss. And so she's on the run, and she runs into this little motel run by one man named Norman Bates. He thinks he's these two personalities, one being his mother and the other being himself. Later in the movie we find out that his mother had actually died and he's the one who killed her. But we don't find that out until the very, very end, after a psychologist talks to him. And he has many, many victims throughout the movie, not only being Janet Leigh, but also a detective that went out to find out where she is exactly.
Yes,
So-
and then her like lover
And
sister are kind of like the ones that go ahead and go find him and seek him out and find out where he's at and kind of serve justice for her, I'll say.
Interestingly enough, this movie was made in 1960, and it was a black and white film.
It was, and that's an interesting choice because Rear Window, which was just 6 years earlier, was a color film. So I think Hitchcock really made some decisions about the fact that the art in this movie, being black and white, would best serve the story because there's a certain kind of good versus bad thing going on in this movie about kind of getting repercussions for your actions and, basically the punishments that come along with that.
I also think he likes to play with shadows a lot in this movie, in this film, because when Norman Bates is talking with Janet Leigh's character in that room when they're eating, you can see all the birds and the shadows and the different camera angles, and it really serves the movie really well for it to be in black and white because it makes everything so much clearer and you can really see those shadows.
I thought that the actors and pretty much all the talent in it were just extraordinary for the story and did a really good job conveying that, sense of just constant suspense that Hitchcock was trying to convey throughout this movie.
I think as a first-time watcher, you don't know that there's only one person that's living in that big mansion, and that's Norman Bates. You actually think, especially since you hear her voice, that his mother's living there,
Yeah, that freaked me out because I was like, I kept hearing him, like, you kept thinking, oh, maybe she's alive.
Yeah.
But then the whole movie, then you come to find out that he was like, basically impersonating her voice the whole movie.
The camera angles are very interesting in this movie, like I said with that one scene in the room where they have the shadows of the birds and everything. But also, I think the scene where he's carrying his mother out of her bedroom, essentially, and taking her to, like, the basement or whatever, is interesting because it's from the very roof. So you don't see their faces, you don't know anything, and it's clever. It's a clever way of hiding what's really the truth behind it all.
Right. We watched the movie on TCM, and honestly, we've had a chance really here lately to really dive into the work of Hitchcock. And
Yes.
I won't say this is my favorite Hitchcock movie thus far. It was just kind of, for me, very regular suspense. It was still Hitchcock, very classic, very detailed, very cared for, but wasn't probably my favorite Hitchcock in the world.
It seems to me like something I'd want to watch on Halloween.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
probably not something you'd watch on a sunny summer day.
No.
It's more Rear Window is probably that kind of movie. But
Exactly.
Psycho is definitely a Halloween movie. If you want to get scared or if you want to have something that kind of gets you in a Halloween mood, this is the movie for you. This is
Yes,
perfect.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more.
I thought all the actors did a really good job. I thought the movie was excellent. It's kind of interesting that it came from the timer that it did,
Yeah.
especially it being black and white and everything.
Right, and I know that this movie pushed the boundaries of like a nude woman being stabbed in the shower
Yeah.
like that, and showing that on camera, that's crazy, especially for this time period where there was so much censorship of films and trying to make sure that they were viewable by the whole audience instead of just segments of the audience.
I also think there's a lot of symbolism in the movie. If you pay attention to the room that Janet Leigh was staying in the hotel, there was a lot of paintings of birds in it, and there was also a lot of birds because he basically was a hunter of
Very
birds.
heavy on the symbolism.
Right, it was like she's essentially a sitting duck. And
Yes.
then after she was murdered in the shower, she ripped the shower curtain down. That's like the curtain being pulled down, like the truth is now out there. You can see who he really is, or whoever that there's a murderer at least. You can tell that what this motel is about, and that's why there's nobody staying there but her, you know?
Right, exactly. I'll give this movie 1 thumb up. I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs up though, because there were some things that I wish they would have done. It could have been a little shorter in time, and possibly they could have done some things to make it just a little bit more rewarding to kind of get up to that suspense. Maybe just a few too short moments I felt like on the actual group, like the scenes that had action and suspense in them, and it was kind of too much build up for what we saw a little bit. But I still loved it. It was a Hitchcock art classic. I mean, his movies are art, and this movie was no different, and you could tell. So I loved it. 1 thumb up.
I would give it 1 thumb up too, mostly because this is an iconic Hitchcock film, but it's probably not as good as I had built up in my mind originally. It was a great movie, but it's not something I could see myself wanting to watch every single day. Be like, oh, it's my favorite movie of all time.
I would hate to watch this movie every single day. That'd be a real downer.
It would be a kind of a downer, but I thought it was a good movie. It was a great movie. I'd watch it again for sure. It's definitely a classic. It's a Hitchcock iconic movie, but it's probably not my favorite film of his, even though I've only seen a few so far. I still probably like Rear Window better. But, so, 1 thumb up from me, and that means 2 thumbs up from us.
2 thumbs up combined.
And actually, if you follow us on Twitter, Faintly Familiar, we live tweeted while Psycho was on. So make sure you do follow us on Twitter, because you never know when we might live tweet. And you'll get fun updates from us about our next movie review, like this one right here.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.